son, a dad, as family, as an athlete, or maybe a sommelier. But I know him as a big brother. I'm Melanie. I'm known as the baby, the princess, the second favorite, and Dave's preferred name for me, Smelly Melly. Dave and I grew up in Cranston, a neighborhood filled with kids. We all dominated the streets with games of manhunt, kickball, bike riding down Elephant Hill, but our favorite thing was terrorizing our parents. Just like the time Dave tried scaling the side of the house using nothing but grippy gloves and some twine. His plan was not successful. It ended with him yelling for me to go get Mom. It was times like that she would serve us the ultimate threat, don't make me call your father, at the fire station, which was sometimes the only way she could get us to act like normal human beings. Then there were the other times that we could just say, sorry, Mom, and give her puppy dog eyes. She would give us one of her epic mom hugs and then sit us down for dinner. Even in times where he did stupid things like climb out of a bedroom window, I wanted to be just like him. So I followed him everywhere. Each time I would follow on his next adventure, he would protest my presence, but I knew no matter what we got into, he was always there to protect me. The times we got along the best was when our dad would take us in the pool. In unison, Dave and I would chant cannon ball until our dad would throw himself up in the air and come down and hit the water with such a force that it would create a tsunami that would wash over us. Despite almost drowning, we would laugh and beg him to do it again. It was in these moments Dave and I would come together as loving siblings instead of street rivals. We would look at our dad as an absolute god because we knew no other dad could do that. Dave later referred to our dad as the Tom Brady of dads, and he's not wrong. I wanted to be just like him. I tried to emulate everything he did. Only problem was David excelled at everything, and me not so much. I remember watching Dave write a term paper the morning it was due, only to find out he received an A. I couldn't keep up with that caliber of schoolwork, but I actually think I did him a favor by getting all C's on all my papers just so he would keep Mom's title as favorite. When he got to high school, he joined the Cranston East soccer and swim teams, both excelling at both, of course. Under the dedicated coaching of Cranston legend Bobby Bouchard, David broke swimming records throughout the school and state. Each season came new records to break, more hair to shave off his head, and an even smellier swim bag. Even though he was busy with sports and homework, David still managed to squeeze in some time for the marching band with his best friend Will. His career in the marching band didn't pan out, but his swimming career did. He was recruited by Fairfield University to swim for the Stags and carry on with his fish-like talents. While attending Fairfield, Dave bonded with friends over things like swimming, or like the time he handed out a friend's business cards and passed them off as his own. There are plenty of stories like that, but you have to get them from his college buddies, because I won't confess them. After college, Dave moved with some of his best friends to St. Thomas, where he met his future wife, Marcy. They spent time making memories, getting tan, meeting at Duffy's Love Shack, and beginning their love story. When he moved, the only thing I liked about him being so far away was that it meant I got to go visit. On a trip down there, he took us out to a fancy dinner where my loving brother convinced me that the red stuff inside of an olive was polar bear meat. I left St. Thomas and told about 10 people that fact. Even though Dave wasn't there to watch people laugh at me when I shared that little fun fact, we all know that was the outcome he was banking on. Dave eventually moved back to the Northeast, where he began working at restaurants and developing his extensive knowledge of wine. When he came home and told us he was starting a career as a sommelier, I didn't know what that was or how to pronounce it, but I did know that he would undoubtedly excel in yet another aspect of his life. This industry led him to places in France and eventually to New York City, where he and Marcy would start their family. Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn, apartment to apartment, the McGoverns made memories in almost every borough. In all of their cozy New York apartments, Dave spent a lot of time in the kitchen, listening to hip hop and cooking. I would talk to Dave and he would say things like, I cooked Marcy and I some lobsters and grilled some veggies. I would think to myself, where is he grilling? He lives 5 floors up. But somehow he always managed to make it happen. One night, Dave and I went out into the city and arrived back home in early morning hours, Marcy sound asleep. Dave told me he was gonna cook us some food. I was thinking he was gonna cook us some chicken nuggets or something, but I was way off. He began pulling things out of the refrigerator and created a 7-course meal. Half a rack of ribs, some bacon wrapped scallops, cheeses, wines, you name it. And he got that from our mom. Both could create a meal fit for a king with nothing more than some leftovers and a few condiments. They could make you feel their love just by the way they carefully orchestrated the feast. Dave and Marcy spent years in the big city, and along the way they welcomed 2 adorable little McGoverns. I have to say, watching my brother become a dad was the most amazing thing. And of course, he excelled at that too. He was patient, so silly, very loving, and definitely a cool dad. Eventually, cozy New York apartments weren't so cozy with 2 kids and 2 adults, so city life needed to come to an end. The McGoverns packed up and moved to New Orleans. My nephews went from being yuppie New Yorkers to the cutest little Cajun crawfish I ever saw. They moved into Yellow House and made it a home. Marcy taught Dave and the boys how to thrive on the Mardi Gras parade routes by yelling, "Throw me something, mister," whenever a float went by. She taught them how to properly eat crawfish and how to ride the St. Charles Street cars. Yellow House was where he cooked many meals, hung out on the front porch, entertained the neighborhood kids, and spent nights with his family. Yellow House was where both boys could be heard running, laughing, and terrorizing their parents. Yellow House is where Dave, JM, and Graham had a boys' night making brownies with chocolate pudding on top. Dave passed away in Yellow House, surrounded by those unforgettable moments and those irreplaceable memories. As Dave and I grew up, and he stopped locking me in pull-out couches, we grew to love each other fiercely. One day I would tell my nephews the stories that made Dave the best big brother the world has ever seen. Maybe I'll take some time to teach Graham a thing or 2 about how to be the cute, innocent one. I'll tell them that their dad loved them with his whole heart and couldn't wait to see what they would do next. I'll tell them that of all the things he excelled at in life, being their dad was his greatest accomplishment. With David's passing, we will lose out on his smile, his good looks, his charisma, his comedic timing, and his magnetic personality. But luckily for us, his 2 beautiful sons have all those same qualities. Dave left us with plenty of stories that will make you laugh, even if you weren't there. Like the time he pretended to be a New Orleans tour guide to a random group of women and made me play along. Or the time he decided to dance in my Nana's kitchen while my aunts threw dollar bills at him. The list goes on and on. So instead of crying because it's over, let's share those stories with each other and smile because he happened. Dave McGovern happened. The other Tom Brady of dads.